Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the celebrated podcast that explores your favorite looks in film, television, and fashion history. Through conversations with the fashion world's elite and award-winning hair, makeup, and costume designers on sets around the world, you will see and hear exciting tales from behind the scenes, career origin stories, and tons of advice and tips. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Hey everybody, welcome to Look Behind the Look. Today, we are going to talk about All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a difficult watch, but I really encourage you to do so if you haven't already. It's an anti-war film that is expertly executed by director Edward Berger, and it's available on Netflix right now. Today, I'm sharing a conversation that I had with Heike Merker about her work as makeup and hair designer for the film. It's getting a tremendous amount of attention this awards season. Finding herself on the front lines quite literally of this project, she takes me through all of the challenges, and we talk about how she discovered the ability to paint artistically using mud, along with macha and every other resource that she could locate to create this realistic look that would devastate audiences. So thank you for joining us while we talk about this important film. So let's listen and talk about their extraordinary work right now. This is an authentic portrayal of war. And I read somewhere that you worked with deficiency for each individual soldier. And I wondered what that process was like in sort of showing us what they were going through makeup.
Yeah, I mean, it all, of course, starts with script and breakdown and research. And here, research was really, really important. Mm-hmm. Because also, like, yeah, of course, I've seen other war movies, but I also need to grow into the story, you know, and not just, and this is visualize, because, yeah, I mean, you can do it in so many different ways.
Right.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, one point was research, really important. And there was a documentary. The name is We Shall Not Grow Old. And the documentary, the footage was so good that I had so many references for all different kinds. I mean, not just for mud, also for dead people, you know, because we also had like so many dummies. So how to position a dummy that he doesn't look like a dummy.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, so this documentary gave me a wonderful entrance into everything, and I could start from there. So, and then I, you know, looked up the colors and the dirt and stuff. And so I was like, okay, we definitely have to mix all kind of dirts, starting from a very liquid version to a more stiffer, to a foam version, to a crunchy, muddy, clayey, whatever version, from very thin to very thick.
Okay. And
this also, because wherever you go, it's not always gray. There is a yellow, there is a greenish, there is bluish, there is a light gray, a middle gray, a dark gray, a black. So this is how we started, like, layering it out in colors and in textures.
Okay.
So, yeah, go for it.
And how did you create these were available to you? How did you create them?
We created on different levels. So they're with pigments and water mix pigments with IPA. This is an alcohol.
Yep.
Grease like Vaseline and pigments, and so you can or cream, or also, like, because we had to do it for skin and we also had to do it for hair. So I used different, you know, stiffer conditioners. And I basically painted them all so that they can stay and that the hair look greasy, and, you know, yeah, so we did this on different levels. And then also you can buy some dirts already, you know, and had the base from there. And I was like, okay, but I don't like the consistency. I want to make it thinner. So we changed things, but we also, we had a huge collection of every possible dirt you can imagine, so that we can pick from whatever we need, and then also for like the background. Of course, you don't have the range for the background. You have to minimize it a bit more. But so we tested everything beforehand, and so that we know how is the dirt reacting. Is it drying? Is it staying? Is it water?
Yes. How did you get it to stay?
So this is like, if it stays, so then it's mostly a bit alcohol-based color. But then still, it rains, or they fall into something, and then something needs to come off and on. So it was very important for me that we can play in whatever, way we wanted to play.
My husband was saying that the mud was like a kabuki mask at times. It was sort of, as he became more and more and more engulfed by the war, it really seemed to become part of his uniform. And how did you keep up with this continuity? Did you struggle with it, or?
No, not really. It's not that we shot in continuity, of course.
Right.
Yeah. But it's also something is happening. Something is, he's constantly moving. So
yes.
And I'm doing it for a long time. So that was fine. Keeping the continuity, finding the right moments where we like, okay, this is important. If this is a bit different, doesn't matter. Things can change. He can sweat. It can come down. So many stuff is. But I like what your husband was saying about the kabuki, because I also approached it like a painting.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah. So that was, for me, I don't know, it somehow started, and then I was like, I need to see that this way.
Yes. It's strangely beautiful in a lot of ways, and really illustrates what he's been through and going through. Did the documentary help you with the injuries, or how did you work with the injuries?
The documentary helped me extremely, with everything. And of course, we had a script, and you can look up in injuries in a different way. But it was also interesting in terms of color, because I knew that they want to change the color in the end. The whole movie is a bit greenish blue, the whole battlefield. So this was not like this at the beginning. So this happened in post. So I knew already that whatever we add on in terms of blood, so if we start, so there is like blood which is already a bit cold, then you have a warmer kind of blood type. So if you already start with a colder blood type, like more blue, it probably will turn too much blue in the end. It's better to start with something warmer, and then when they're, change the color, so then it's, hopefully the right color. You never know, really.
Yeah.
So, you can just
hope for the best.
Hope for the best. And we all tried, and I never did a war movie before. This was, something, I thought like, it's probably hard, but I was really up for.
Wow. What brought you to the project?
The project was, there's an actor, Daniel Bruhl, who was also playing in that movie. And I know him for, 30 years now. So I basically worked with him on his first movie. We were both very young. And he was not just playing in that movie, he also was a producer.
Okay.
And he came up and was saying like, oh, are you interested? We are planning this. And how do you feel about? And then I met the director, Edward, and he is lovely. And then, one of my best friends, Lizzie Crystal, the costume designer, was doing the costumes. So, I mean, it was just
wonderful.
A combination, the group was incredible. And yeah. So,
wow.
and this all together, made me say like, oh, yeah, I definitely want to be part of it. And apart from the book is so famous and we all had it in school, and it's just that it's a German story. It was never told from the German side.
Right.
And so I was, it's probably time and good to do.
What do you think that added to it being told from the German side? It is anti-war to begin with, and I went down the rabbit hole, actually, what happened to the writer and his family and everything, which I hadn't known before. Incredible. I highly recommend that rabbit hole, sort of going down to see what became of the writer. And what do you think it added to have it being told in this way?
I think, first of all, it's a history. It's a German history, and we are not proud of. Mm-hmm. And we all grow up with guilt and shame. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like, it's not that we now like not guilty or ashamed anymore.
Right.
But I think just like that, we told the story from our side because it was made 2 times before. Mm-hmm. Yeah. From the Americans.
Yes.
Yeah. And just to face as a German this story, I think it's
wow.
It's
brave.
Yeah.
It's brave. I read that the DP loves working with you specifically, and I love talking about the relationship between the makeup artist and the DP, because it's a relationship that's often overlooked or taken for granted. And I wanted to ask about how you worked together with this DP in particular.
James was he was also English. Okay. James is a wonderful DOP. He is such a makeup friendly. So many DOPs, they don't even look at makeup people.
Exactly. That's yes.
And he was always, Heike, you can always come, you can always ask me, you can always look through whatever you need. Let's talk about it, let's discuss. And then and he was saying it at the beginning while we still had prep, and then I was like, oh, James, I have a question, what do you think about this and that? And he was like, oh, great, yeah, no, let's do it. So he always he was always there, he was always on, he was so, but also the director, Of course. Just incredible. And I think, we had doing prep, we had some tests, of course. And we also had a camera test. And I think they loved what I did. So they really trusted me. And this also is such a huge, compliment, and also it opens up everyone, if you have people next to you or with you who trust you. Like, that's, and so whatever there was, sometimes also the camera was on an angle I couldn't really, approach the actor. So sure. We had to kind of talk, make it work, that everything is fine. Or I was like, that's fine, I'm good, you go, you can shoot this. So he is just a very, very team orientated and loving person, and a great DOP. He and his team was amazing.
Yes, it's very hard to get that relationship to a place where you feel that you're respected. Not that they're disrespectful, but they are so overwhelmed with their task, and sometimes they can marginalize the other departments. So that's amazing that you had that experience.
Yeah.
What were the conditions like when you were for the cast and for the crew? Obviously the conditions were harrowing in the film, but how were they for you?
Same.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, we were in the trenches.
Wow.
There were no extra trench without mud
Right.
or anything. So we were on the battlefield. So of course you don't run through where the actors and all the crowd is running through. You are next to, but it's still the battlefield. Yeah.
Sure.
The conditions were tough. Yeah.
Wow. I can just imagine. I was imagining you the whole time watching the film through how I imagined you were experiencing it.
Movie business is not a glamorous business.
No, 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 no. And tell me about the hardest. Can you pick one? Can you pick the hardest day, the most challenge, the biggest challenge, the most challenging?
I wouldn't say the most challenging, but we had a pre-shoot. We were still in prep.
Okay.
And then because the movie didn't have a big budget, and also we had 50 shooting days in total.
50?
50, 50.
And not a big budget.
And not a big budget.
My God.
I think you would imagine like it was 5-6 times more, but no, it was.
Yeah.
It was like we shot in Prague, and this was all like you get more for the money.
Of course, yes.
Mm-hmm. But so we had to shoot something beforehand in prep.
Got it.
And so this was, I think it was a bit like a reality check, that shooting day, because we were all up on a hill in a forest at 4:00 in the morning with like 120 dead soldiers and a main character who also is dead in the cold, like with snow and mud. And it was so muddy that I couldn't move. I was like stuck in the mud.
Oh God.
Have you ever been in a situation like this?
No.
Oh my God, I don't even know how to pull my leg forward to, go for the next. And then I was like, oh my God, if this will be for the entire movie, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah, literally. And then, when you have mud, sometimes it's also you're not even moving and you're sliding and
oh yeah.
No way to stop. So this was, I think, apart from that we shot, apart from that we had dead soldiers, who were like they were carried around and they were dead, and then it was freezing cold. And the poor actor, he was supposed to be dead anyhow, but still he was so cold and he was supposed to be dead and he was shivering,
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and I was like, okay, let's get into a tent and then the tent was so far away.
Yeah.
There was no sense going into the tent because you had to cross the mud field, which was so difficult to cross. So, yeah, it was, I think they were like, yeah, let's do a little pre-shoot day, in a very guerrilla style later on. But this brought us to something like, okay, we now had our experience. Guys, I tell you, if this is going on for the entire movie, I don't know how to make it. We have to have it. I know there is mud, but still there are ways to like that you can cross the mud, pull some planks or where you can move over. So it's also a time issue. You don't want to be stuck with
Oh
your
God. Yeah.
you can't shoot, or the poor camera guy who was handling the camera and everything. Like, oh my God. So this was a very challenging day and a really, an very extreme day. But honestly, because afterwards we went back into our workshops and had a meeting, and we're all talking about it. And I think, a reality check for everyone, so that we have to do something.
Right. So
this was not about makeup. This was about the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Challenge for me, personal. I mean, I tried something, I was like, okay, this is the way I would like to approach. This is kind of color arrangement. It's always challenging. Do like people what I think maybe is a good look?
Yeah.
How is the audience taking it? I think this is a challenge, Is it really believable? What I did, is it, I think these are all questions. It's not that I had them every day, but I can just give this much, and then everybody has a different eye. Everybody has a different view.
Yes.
Maybe some like it, maybe some hate that. So I think this is always for me the chat, and not that I want to please everyone.
Right. Of course. But you do want to convince the audience that this is happening and this is real, and that's the challenge. I'm curious how you found the green. I keep thinking of the green in the film, and how did you find the idea of working with green? I would have never thought of this.
This is a bit of matcha mixed with macadamia. And a tiny bit of the dead sea salt mud from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had whatever was like. There are so many powders, so you can eat, and we used more. We also had like food coloring. We had, different powder types, so that I can start from, okay, I take grease from here, mix it with this, and then these are our layers. And I was always, laying it up, or like, let's take 20% from here. And it was a bit like baking.
You may come up with the new beauty secret here with the matcha mask. It seems caffeine. It might, make you less inflamed.
Yeah.
And that really added a creative color to it, I guess, that people would not think of, because I do think of like earthy mud as red and orange, but the green, it took me somewhere else. And did you see that in actually organically?
You're talking about the crater scene.
Yeah.
It's together with French. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the thing is, like, he came from a battle and he was running. He saw his friend dying.
Aww.
I think they killed him with a flamethrower, and then he kept running, and then he went to the crater.
And then he had nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose at that point.
So, and there were a lot of mud down at the crater.
Yes.
So he had to dig into this. And then when he turned and ran over to the French soldier, it basically fall off again.
Yes.
Yeah, because it wasn't like the right consistency and stuff. But luckily we haven't seen that. So we could, from the other side of I could just reapply this with a different material.
Okay.
And I always had a huge collection on set, so I could remix something and take it from there to reapply. And then it was also like, I thought, like, in that scene, he basically, on one hand, it's 100% clear now he is a killer. He killed people before, but this
so
is
good.
like one by one.
Yes.
Yeah. But on the other hand, he also sees, I mean, the second half of the scene when he's taking off the buttons and he's taking the purse and he sees the picture with wife and child,
yes,
he sees is just a human being, like I am a human being. And then he starts to help him to kind of, and he feels guilty and he wants to go to his wife to kind of apologize and to tell that her husband, that he killed her husband. And so it's like a two-face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it kind of happened, but on the other hand, we, with all the layers underneath and with the red eyes and the grays and the striking what's coming down, and then this part on, and then the whole scene, how he acted and stuff, it was so, oh my God, breathtaking.
Fantastic. Yes, I mean, it was captivating.
Honestly, like I have not created that look before in my head. Yeah.
Wow.
It kind of, so because on the other side, he was laying in the mud because he was hiding, and I was not aware that he's shooting it this way.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then when he came up, I mean, while he was walking through the water, it all fell off. But I was like, wait a moment, we need to keep that. So that's why I ended up with this, you know, adding on. And then luckily everything dried so perfectly. And then it became an two-face with an elephant kind of skin. I mean,
yes.
It's I mean, I love the look. Yeah. I think it's such a, and then how, here he comes, James. How he shot it. I mean, the angle, how he came around with the camera, and then he looked, it was, oh my God. I was like, you are such a dream. You captured it so well.
Yes. Yes. That's one of the, is that the, are you the most proud of that moment? I would think so.
I mean, this is the whole
There's
scene.
So many. There's so many.
The scene is just so brilliant, I think, you know.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
The scene is breathtaking.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, I mean, everyone is always talking about this scene because, yeah, it's like the confrontation between the Germans and the French, you know, and then realizing we are all human beings. Come on, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah. Well, so proud of it. I mean, I'm proud that I worked on this movie, and I'm so proud, honestly, that, and thankful that people watch it.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's a very important film to see. Yeah.
You know, so that's why I, yeah, and I was part of it. It's brilliant. I mean,
major part.
You never know if a movie turns out that well, you know, you never know that in advance.
Yeah, exactly. You can only hope. And I think it sounds like everybody was so committed to, and the intention was there to make a great film. So, you know, an important and deep film that speaks to many, many people and is part of history, really. But congratulations to you on all of the awards buzz. And I can't wait to see what happens. And I know this is exhausting, probably. Are you on a project right now?
No, luckily I'm not.
Okay, so you can you have the availability to really enjoy all of this and
I'm not.
And
I was working the last 3 years through, and I just was like, I need to have a break.
Good.
You know, suddenly something else is coming out.
well deserved. I hope that you are able to take in all of these accolades and enjoy them. And I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yeah, let's see.
Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, edited by Nicole Tucker. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel Look Behind the Look podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at LookBehindTheLook. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.